In this lesson, I'll be surveying what each of these two worldviews believes about various science fields if they're applied universally. So keep in mind, I'm mainly contrasting a young Earth creationist worldview with like a macroevolution is everything atheistic, one might consider Dawkinsian worldview. Though I will be mentioning, other perspectives of the creation and macroevolution worldview throughout. Just keep in mind that's not the primary focus. This part one will be physical sciences. Look at physics, chemistry, cosmology, planetology, astronomy, geology, and end with looking at atmospheric science. When it comes to physics, which is the material science focused on concepts associated with matter like forces and motion, instead of on the matter itself like its elements and molecular composition. The extreme macroevolutionist side of quantum Darwinism says that the classical or object physics, which is what you usually think of when you think of physics, macroevolve from quantum or think atomic level kind of physics through some sort of natural selection. From the creationist perspective, the two came into existence simultaneously because you can't have one set of natural laws, those involved in quantum physics, they can't produce those then involved in classical physics. When it comes to chemistry, which is the material science that is the study of the composition of matter, for example, the elements, molecules, how they can be altered, and their relationship with energy, as it pertains to elements, the common macroevolutionist perspective of chemical evolution says all naturally occurring elements ultimately originated from combination reactions between hydrogen atoms, i.e., two hydrogen atoms came together, created helium, add hydrogen to that to get lithium, so on and so forth. The creationist perspective says that the initial amounts of each naturally occurring element came into existence supernaturally. So you started with all the naturally occurring elements, and then the amounts of them have altered over time through chemical reactions. This instead of the process of chemical evolution, because such a thing is insufficient on such a level, especially since elements larger than iron are less stable, hence why fusion reactions in stars rarely ever pass it. Now, when it comes to chemistry as it pertains to molecules, a common macroevolutionary perspective of abiogenesis says that complex molecules resulted from macroevolving simpler molecules. So like you start with very simple, low complexity inorganic molecules, they become organic molecules, they become macromolecules like carbohydrates, and then eventually become cells, kind of like in the picture I have depicted. Creationist perspective says that different sorts of molecules, inorganic and organic, and the levels of complexity of molecules must have been supernaturally created because such transitions as thought of in abiogenesis are far too drastic. Also, abiogenesis has only ever failed to be proven, never been proven, only failed at attempts of proving it, and the similar theory of spontaneous generation has been disproven many a times. When it comes to cosmology, which is the study of the nature of the universe/cosmos, such as its origins specifically, the macroevolutionist perspective of cosmic evolution and the Big Bang Theory, which are probably not as common as you think they are, say that something, most probably a superdense singularity, rapidly expanded, spreading matter to form the initial cosmic phenomena that later macroevolved into what there is today. And also go ahead and mention a very fringe theory of cosmological natural selection, or fecund universes, that says a universe is sort of born on the opposite side of a black hole and when it collapses. This is macroevolutionists that believe in multiverse theory specifically. The creationist perspective says that because the universe has galaxies rotating in opposite directions of each other, the universe is ordered, it must have had a beginning and can't begin itself, then it must have been created directly and supernaturally by the creator. Also, the Big Bang Theory does not fully take into proper consideration all scientific laws, nor explains their existence. And actually, many atheistic macroevolutionists agree with this. When it comes to planetology, which is the study of planets, other celestial bodies, and planetary systems like our solar system, pretty fair amount of macroevolutionists would say that celestial bodies, namely planets and comets/asteroids, are macroevolutionary produced and expelled by the, if I'm pronouncing this right, Oort cloud and Kuiper belt. Not all macroevolutionists would agree with that last part, but they would at least all agree that celestial bodies are results of macroevolution somehow. Creationists, though, would say that, well, there's no evidence for the Oort cloud, the Kuiper belt, or any celestial body macroevolution existing at all. So they must have been supernaturally formed, since there's no natural process to form celestial bodies, which aligns with the historical documentation of Genesis 1 through. When it comes to astronomy, not astrology, which is the study of celestial objects and phenomena, i.e., really everything outside the Earth, the common macroevolutionist perspective of stellar evolution says that stars, certain other celestial bodies like nebulas and black holes, macroevolve from one to another in a sequence like I have depicted. The creationist perspective, however, says that at least most of these transitions have not been observed, and most of them defy uniformitarianism/gradualism, which is pretty important to a lot of macroevolutionists. And these things defy that because they are not a slow, gradual process, but a sudden, total change, which is the opposite of gradualism/uniformitarianism. Comes to geology, which is basically the study of the solid inorganic mass of a planet, and the relayed like lava, which is just the molten version of it. The common macroevolutionist perspective, uniformitarianism, which is also held by some creationists, says that most geological phenomena, especially rock layers, mountains, valleys, coal, petroleum, and fossils, are the result of slow, uniform, i.e., consistent and uninterrupted natural processes, like weathering and erosion. That's probably what most of you heard of in school, just millions of years of weathering and eroding, you get rock layers, mountains, valleys, coal, so forth. However, the creationist perspective that's held by most young Earth creationists and some old Earth creationists, like the one who coined it, catastrophism, says that most geological phenomena, especially the ones mentioned previously, are the result of sudden, intense processes like mudslides, lava flows, and floods, namely the global flood. When it comes to atmospheric science, which is the study of atmospheres, namely the Earth's, not the study of the tone of a room, which I should try, the incredibly common macroevolutionist perspective of climate alarmism says that global measurements of and changes in temperatures, precipitation, natural disasters, and other general weather phenomena prove the Earth's global climate slowly totters back and forth between ice age cold and heat death hot, and is currently on its way to the latter, which will be so intense that we'll all die before it peaks. And some add that the reason global temperature and natural disasters are increasing to far greater levels and will kill all life is because they're anthropogenic. If you think I'm drawing a caricature here, really think about what a lot of these advocates really are saying. The creationist perspective, however, held mostly by YACs, but by plenty of others as well, says that global climatic changes that have been observed are not at all as drastic and life-threatening as described, and because our planet must have been created by the Creator, who's sovereign over it and revealed to us how it will end, and we ourselves are not gods, we have no reason on any good grounds to expect and fear such a purely natural climactic apocalypse, and for it to be anthropogenic or come to pass at all, nor should we believe in the extreme tottering.